Okay. I'm going to do a recap because it's been a while. We're going to go into male and female energies, but before we do that, I feel like it's important to kind of remember the point of a relationship. Does anyone remember the point of a relationship? What's the purpose? Okay, so the purpose of our relationships is to help us become closer to the Creator. Everything we're doing is for us to emulate the Creator, to be like the light. That is the whole goal of everything. So when you're in a committed relationship, what happens is that person that you commit to, let's imagine you're, I don't know, the president of the United States, like a charismatic, good-looking president, and everyone respects you and loves you, and you have all the money in the world and all the power. Your partner in life, your soulmate, is going to be someone who thinks you're like an average Joe. And why is that? Why won't your soulmate, the person you're committed to, be wowed by you? The reason is the person that you're with is here to get you to grow, to challenge you. There's no growth if they love you and they adore you, right? The growth has to come from them seeing your baggage and your positive sides, and then having the growth from there. So it's frustrating, imagine, for the person who is in the relationship and you feel like, everyone in the world loves me, I'm this, I'm that, and then you're married to this person who's like, it's frustrating, but it's in those places, it's in those moments, it's in those interactions where you have your growth. It's when that person is able to say something, where it hits. So it says that when our soul came here, our soul came as one, right? And then it was divided. And as we do, we just started, and as we do our own personal work, we then get to the point where we earn to be with our soulmate. It's okay.
Once you do the work.
Once you work on yourself,
okay.
Yes. So the way you basically earn your soulmate, you don't find them. You earn it. So when the soul was divided into male and female counterpart. I might say man, woman, but just know it's male and female energy. And when we're speaking about that energy, it's about like the positive pole being the giver and then the negative being the receiver. It's not about sexuality or anything like that. So those souls go into bodies, and then as you work on yourself, you get to the point where then you're like, okay, I've worked on myself enough. This angel, the angel of Lila, comes in and says, okay, you're now at the point to meet your soulmate. You're now ready. And once that's declared, nothing can stop you guys from meeting. So let's say the girl is working on herself and the guy is with somebody else, right? Events will happen in the natural world such that that relationship will dissipate, whatever. Once it's declared, once you put enough of that in, you'll be with your soulmate. When you're married, right? Once you're already married, it's already been decreed, you're with that person. You earn it by continuing to work on yourself. So we said this last time, where that soul, that spark of what would have been whatever level of soulmate kind of comes into the person that you're married to. Okay, so it's hard because you have these opposing concepts, it sounds like, and you have to maintain both in your head. It's kind of like the wave particle theory where it's both. So this is kind of, without going too deep into it, we all have the male and female energy within us, right? Sometimes a female soul will go into a female body, and sometimes it'll go into a male body depending on its tikkun. And that's why you see some males who are more feminine and you see some females who are more masculine. And then depending on who you're interacting with or what your situation is, you take on a more male energy or female energy. So the male essence is disseminating, right? It gives energy, it gives information. So if you think about like a parent and child, like think about a mother and a daughter. In that relationship, who's the male and who's the female? The mother is a
Male.
and the daughter is a female. Okay. If you have a teacher-student relationship, the teacher takes on a male role and the females are the vessel. So the whole time in the Zohar, the language is always light vessel, right? So it's male, female, that comes up a lot. Okay, so we said the purpose of a relationship is to help you overcome your negativity and be like the creator. So you're decreasing your negativity and you're enhancing your positivity, right? What is Satan's job? Satan's job is to block that. Satan's job is to get us to the place where he's increasing our negativity and decreasing our positivity, right? So how does he do that? He does that with like guilt, like telling you it's okay to be selfish, making you think that when you're reactive, like it's okay that you yelled at the person. They deserved it. You were nice long enough. Whatever that voice is, that's the power of Satan, getting you to just react in the moment. Also telling you to give only when it's convenient, to give when it's easy, to give only when you're completely full, you give whatever's left. Only give if you're going to earn respect for it. Only give if it's good for your reputation, if it's good for PR, if they're going to do a favor back. So it's not real giving. We know that that leads into that whole concept of bread of shame. The hardest thing to do, right, is to overcome these things and to cleave to the creator, to be like the creator. So how would you optimize that happening in a committed relationship? So a single person, right, could never reach that maximum level because they don't have that committed relationship. It's only within that relationship that you'll be able to work on that level of yourself. It's like being with a trainer, right? You could make, ChatGPT could make the best workout for you, right? And you're following it. It will never be the same as working out with a trainer. The trainer will always push you beyond what you think you're capable of. And what happens in that moment when you're pushed? You hate the trainer, right? You're like, right? You're like, I can't do two more. And they're like, two more. What would happen if instead of saying, I'm not doing two more, you drop your weights and you're at the gym and you find another trainer and you're like, you know what? I'm not working with you anymore. I'm going to find a new trainer that doesn't push me. And then you go to the new trainer and you're like, you know what? Let's work together, but I'll never do more than 10 reps, right? It doesn't work like that. But that's how we view our relationships when it gets hard, right? We kind of think like that trainer wouldn't be so hard. So as soon as we're pushed beyond our comfort zone, we shift into that, like, I'm out of here. What's going on over there? I need a new trainer. And that's what we know is where that magic is, when you push through that. The other thing that I feel like is important to do is sit and kind of think, even when it's difficult with the partner, think, why is this person in my life? Why did the creator assign this partner to me? What is it that I need to learn? What is it that I need to learn best from this person? Okay, so when you get to that place, when you're able to really contemplate that and get there and you figure out, like, whatever my weakness is, whatever my sensitivity is, whatever my, pet peeve is, that will be what my husband, my spouse, will be pushing on, touching on. It will be exactly that. And it will be the voices that keep coming, like, you see, when you realize that and you realize this is what you're here to work on and this is why they're in your life to point that out to you, you sit with that, you achieve a level of peace, right? Because okay? There's no other pathway to that serenity except for doing that within a committed relationship, because it's the most difficult thing. So when we have relationships, right? What is it usually? It's like, let's say I have a relationship with my spouse, or I have a relationship with Hana. What is it? It's I give to Hana, Hana gives to me. So that's a linear relationship. Usually there's a lot of lust, there's chemistry. I have a need, she fills my need. She has a need, I fill her need. That sounds great, right? Sounds great. Like, shouldn't that be our contract with all of our relationships? I give you what you need and you give me what I need. Everything's fine and dandy.
Void fillers.
Yeah, yeah. What is the problem there?
No,
You're not growing.
You're not growing. And the other thing you're doing is, what's happening is they're constantly feeling a lack, right? So it's reactive, and you're constantly feeling their lack. So when am I gonna call my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my friend, my spouse, whoever? When do you pick up that call? When do you pick it up? You're feeling empty, you're feeling anxious, you're feeling bored, you're feeling something, and then you're like, I'm gonna pick up the phone and make...
The air of situationships.
Yeah. It's
relationships is like when it suits me.
when you're feeling lack, you're calling them to take something from them, to take that energy from them, right? So the optimal way is the triangular relationship. And we spoke about this before. I give to you, I get from the light, I receive from the light. You give to me, you receive from the light. Do you get it? So I'm never looking to receive from my partner. I'm going to receive from the Creator. My partner is the vessel, is the vehicle for which I use to practice that element of sharing so that I could receive from the Creator. Make sense? Okay. The linear relationship, one of the fallacies, I don't know if this is the best analogy, but it's like when someone says, I have an amazing idea, I'm gonna sell this product. I'm gonna buy it, I'm gonna sell it, I'm gonna make $1 million, it's great. When you think about it like that, you're like, yeah, it's simple, it's easy, right? You get into it and what happens? All these little things come up, right? When you have it triangular, when you bring in the Creator and you recognize it's a three-way system, you never try to receive from that person, right? Let's go take it a step further. When you have a business, you're the male and your customers are the female, right? So you're giving to the customer. If the customer is not happy, what does that say about you? Do you say, I'm just gonna close shop, they're not happy, I suck? What do?
Find out why.
You keep trying, you figure it out. You don't close shop. Kind of like the male energy, the essence, right? It's sharing.
Well, fine, return it if my product doesn't work for you, like go somewhere else.
You're not needy. You're not needy. So the sun is always shining, right? The sun is just giving. It's not in a place where it cares. So when it's dark, is the sun not shining? No, we know it is shining. Why do we experience darkness? Because the vessel, Earth, our side of Earth, has put its back to the sun, right? So does the sun come and say, oh, I'm offended, I'm not gonna shine anymore. I'm gonna teach you a lesson, you did that to me. No, the sun is shining, the sun is doing its thing. So that's the analogy in your business. That's the analogy of when you're taking on a male role, not to take it personally, not to be like, oh, well, she doesn't wanna receive from me, or she, whatever. You need to continue shining and doing your thing. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Okay, I'm going to tap into what you said about neediness, right? When we said, should I close the business because the customer wasn't happy? She's like, whatever, return it, I don't care. When you are receiving from the light in that triangular relationship, when you're not looking and needy for your customer, needy for your partner, needy for your friend, when you're full because you're connected to the light, right? you're going to have circuitry. You're going to have blessings, right? The only way that you're going to be able to be in that content-filled place is only when you're connected to the Creator. You're not going to get it from anybody else. Your happiness, your fulfillment, your worth, the blessings that come to you, being in flow or being not in flow is not, he did this, he said this, she did this, she did that, they did that, the weather did this. It's kind of touching on Kabbalah 1, but I want to bring it into the context of relationships, that you need to have that shining aspect, that giving aspect, no matter what. Even if it's just your consciousness. Let's say you have a friend, your ex-boyfriend, your ex-friend, your business partner, whoever, that kind of like, I don't know, broke off with you, okay? You wouldn't, being in a giving place would be to be at the place where you really genuinely wish them well. Not in a way like, oh, well, I found a new boyfriend or a new business partner, let me get them off my back and I hope they're happy with something else. But you have nobody else and you're struggling, but you still want the happiness for them, right? What it means to really be a giver is to be able to tap into the vessel. You're not giving if you're not sensitive to the vessel, right? You have to know what the vessel needs, what the vessel wants. So taking that a step further, let me think of an analogy. Okay. If your wife says, for instance, you don't spend enough time with me. So the husband's like, okay, I'm going to carve out 3 hours and we're spending time. Check. Now I'm going to go work for 8 hours. How do you think that's going to fare? Why? What did you feel immediately when I said that? It was a checklist. He was just doing it to check it off a list. You're not giving unless you're really tapping into and sensitive to the vessel, right? So knowing all of this, when you're tapped in and you're connected, I'm going to also preface this with, when you have that circuitry in your relationship and you have peace and harmony in your relationship with your spouse and any other relationship, that's when blessings flow. Okay, in your business, if you have to have peace with your business partner, in friendships, in your marriage, definitely. That's when blessings flow. So somebody can work, for instance, 30 minutes and rack up what they would make in 15 hours if they recognize that their essence is to give and they're sensitive to the vessel and they have peace. You get it? That peace is so important that you'll draw down blessings. I don't know if I need to say it more. Did you get that? You put less work in the physical realm and the blessings come down when you have that peace. It opens the channels. The other aspect is, I'm going to go to that feeling of the customer is always right. What does that mean? That means if you're not giving, when the wife said you didn't hang out with me enough, I don't feel, what is she really saying? She's saying, I'm not receiving energy from you in a way that I'm feeling. So whatever you think you're doing, you miss the mark. And I'm not talking about someone being irrational. I'm talking about genuinely. The giver, this is with your students, with your kids, whatever it is, if they're telling you, and I could tell you, I have a child who always says, even after we hung out, I don't feel like we really hung out. And it's because she's not receiving my energy. When I'm with her, I need to tap into, I have to be in a giving place. My purpose is to share with her and think about that triangular relationship. And that allows you to be present and to be sensitive to what she needs. Just that consciousness will change everything, rather than being there and nodding and not really feeling her. So when you're dating, and I know a lot of us are past that, when you have the consciousness of, I'm finding someone who's going to help me connect to the Creator, who's going to be, let me read it how I said it. Okay, so the consciousness I wrote is, God, I know you brought this person in my life. I hope this person elevates my relationship with you. That's how you approach your dates. Okay, instead of thinking, what am I going to get out of this? Right? What am I benefiting from? How is this working for me? You're thinking of this as, and I hate to say this, but as a tool. Your relationship is your tool to connect to God. So even more so when you're married, and a lot of us fall into this of, what am I not getting? What are they not doing for me? That one is doing that for their spouse, and this one is doing that, and I should be getting this. But when you shift it to, where do I need to give? And then what happens when you know that, when you hear a criticism, you're like, yeah, great, tell me, because that's how I'm going to learn to connect to the Creator and to have that flow, instead of being like, oh my God, I can't believe you told me, right? You're not offended anymore.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So what do you do, so if the purpose of dating is kind of like to deepen your relationship with the Creator, what if you're dating someone but you actually really like them? Can you say, I want to deepen my relationship with you, but I also really like this person?
Well, you should like the person. You have to like the person.
Yeah.
But your consciousness behind everything should be, you should understand that when you enter the committed relationship, the end result, the higher purpose is to connect to God. But you have to, like, you cannot be in a
in like the
relationship.
dating phases, like if you go on a few dates and you're like, wait, I actually really like this
You should.
person. Yeah.
You
So,
should.
Yeah. But
It's
I'm
not mutually exclusive.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. Did that answer your question?
I have to process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think also there's a difference between like, oh, I like how they make me feel,
Oh, I
and
love
I like
that you
the
said
ways
that.
they're feeling for me, or I like the person that they make me in, like they make me a better person, or I like that they make me feel sexy or whatever. You know what I mean? There's a difference between I like how they make me a better person, or I like that they're feeling my daddy issues or whatever. It's like what is it that you like? Like, be curious about that. And
So I read a book, okay, years ago in college, and it had this analogy of how you make me feel, and it's like the running joke with me and my sister. And it was, the author was saying that if you like chicken, right? Someone says, I love chicken. What are you really saying? You're saying, I love how eating chicken makes me feel. Because if you really love chicken, you would take care of it. You would, you know, like, yeah, you would keep it safe. So when we say, I love my boyfriend, my husband, my whatever, what are we saying? Are we saying we love that person for who they are? Or are we saying we love how they make us feel? Which is, I think, what you were saying. Taking that a step further, you need to love the person for the person. So think about this with your relationships. If your child came and said, God forbid, I'm done, I don't want to have a relationship with you, don't ever talk to me again, peace out, right? Would you spend the rest of your life destroying theirs? No, you would genuinely wish the best for them. Like, you would want them to be in your life, but even if they're not, you want them to be happy, you want them to be fulfilled, you want them to have a good and easy life. Let's say your husband comes and tells you, peace out, I'm done with you. I can already see your eyes. You would spend the rest of your life, like, not you, many people might spend their lives committed to ruining theirs. Did that mean you loved the person, or did that mean you loved something, a need that was filled? So you have to have the consciousness that even if they leave, right? Not should they leave, but like in that scenario, you love them for them and you'd want them to be happy regardless.
But it's hard.
Yeah, of course it's hard. It's all hard. It's all hard.
Sarah, I have a question. Just because you brought up the trainer analogy, I
Yeah.
think that's such a good analogy. I had a trainer for a while with something that I was learning, that he was like pushing me, but like with negative energy. Like if I would do it wrong, why'd you do it like that? When I would do it well, he was like, yeah, but when I wouldn't, and it was like, he was my trainer for like 2 years and something, and I was just like, I'm sick of his negative, like, and I changed trainers, and everything is like, you did great, next time tweak it like this. Like, And I think changing the train, it's not that I didn't want to be pushed. I just didn't want to be pushed
Yeah.
with like
Yeah.
abuse, you
Yeah.
know, or
Well,
like negative.
None of this applies to
I
abuse.
don't mean abuse,
Yeah.
but like sometimes it's just like someone's pushing you, but it's like from such a like negative place. It's their own stuff. And sometimes spouses can come in with like they're pushing you, but it's also their own stuff that like they
Yes.
need to work on.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. That's the whole don't take it personally.
I don't know. Changing train has worked for me.
Those are easier to change than
Yeah,
spouses.
So true.
Yeah, I guess it means when there's like abuse attached, but every person, I mean, I guess.
And
You
it's
can just work
also
on
your
yourself.
boundaries and not letting it in. Like, there are times where I'm sure all of us, like your spouse or your friend will say something and you recognize they had a hard day, or your child, and you kind of like let it go. And then when you're not in that right headspace and they say the exact same thing and you're like, ah, you know, so notwithstanding abuse, but kind of getting the nuance of it's not me, it's them.
Right.
And if it does touch your cavity, you kind of look at your cavity.
Those are the triggers.
And it's never going to be easy. No, like your relationship, one of the things that I had said earlier was, we're like, give me the message, but say it really nicely. I don't like how you delivered it. Can you say it softly so I could, you know, it's not going to be delivered. It's going to be always in a way where you feel like a death, right? Sometimes things make you feel like a death, and it's when you feel that death when you have that growth, when you're like at your wit's end, when the seed completely decomposes is when the flower, you know, pops up. So that death almost has to happen, and it happens in different aspects of your life, whether it's business or a friendship or whatever. It's when you have that death and you feel like, I'm done. There's a surrendering. And that's where, okay, I went on a tangent. Okay, so with that, you don't say, you don't think, which is very hard in our society these days. I feel like in our grandmother's generation, it was easier, the trainer situation, but with your spouse, you don't appreciate me, someone else will appreciate me, screw it, I'm done. Kind of understanding that that area is where the work, where the magic is. Okay, so we said a man's purpose is here to shine, to just give. The man kind of has like a mandate, and it's, you have to just always be in that place of shining. Like the sun doesn't get offended, the sun doesn't stop shining, the sun doesn't take things personally. When does the male tikkun come into play? When he feels like he's not being appreciated, right? When they feel like they don't have an appreciative audience. They need to have an audience that appreciates them. And when they don't have that, your male energy has to be careful not to be like, well, I'm going to stop shining, right? Like, I'm not going to give anymore because you didn't appreciate me. I'm not going to give to whatever the business, my child, whatever the relationship is where you're taking on a male role, or men. When a man has a captive audience, he's on fire, right? He's able to keep going. That's why men are always like, oh, you have a problem? Let me fix it. You have this. What do they want to do? They just want to give. They want to share. They want to fix. They want to solve. That's like their MO. I said the customer stuff. When one feels complacent, when you get lazy, when you take things personally, all that stuff, to change the words, you're no longer a channel. You're becoming a vessel. That's why when you're in a male role, that's not going to work. When you're in that disseminating male role, it's not going to work. When you're in that male energy, you're like a builder. You have to be careful to stay in that building role. Even when you're doing something like, let's talk about a male, for instance. When a male is like dating, let's say he's just dating a bunch of women. If he's dating without that consciousness, it leads to destructive energy. right? You're just taking, you're going to have fun, you're going to just take. When you're in that role, you're going to lose, you're disconnected, you're short circuiting, it's not going to work out. Also, the reason when you tap into that giving side, when you see it on TV, who's the hero that we all connect with? It's that selfless, he was giving no matter what, even when it was hard and think the odds were against him, because we recognize, like, it hits us and we value that and we root for them. And the movie wins an Oscar and we cry because we feel it. We feel that that's the essence of giving, even when it's hard. Whenever a man falls from grace, it's because he made a decision to be a vessel at the wrong time. So if you think about, I don't know, stealing, sexual harassment, any kind of situation like that, if you reframe it in your mind, it's a time where the man who was supposed to be giving, the male who's supposed to be giving, decided to be a vessel at the wrong time. There are times where males can be vessels, but doing it at the wrong time in the wrong way, that's when you kind of fall from grace, right? I think we're done.
Sarah, can you say the triangle relationship? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I missed it.
Yeah.
What?
So we said this when you spoke about relationships too, that my relationship with you is never just me and you. So when we did yes. So it's the same with relationships. So with your marriage. So if I'm going to speak with you, right? I'm going to first check in. Can she hear this? Is she interested? Right? All of that, who am I checking in with? Yes. So you're doing that in your marriage too. Your marriage, you have to realize that what you're receiving is not from your husband. You're receiving from the Creator. You're giving to your husband to receive from the Creator.
Okay, thank you.
It's like when we said, give and then you send the bill to God.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions?
How does divorce play into this soulmate? Like, you choose with.
There's another concept, and it's hard to hold them simultaneously, that, you're here for a purpose, and you have souls that are here for a certain purpose with you, and maybe your purpose with that soul is over. Maybe you're meant to be with somebody else. There's lots of, there's journeys, souls journey with you. But as long as the stronger concept that I'm going to hold to is, if you made it without abuse, we're not talking about abuse or things like that, but in a normal, moderately up and down telenovela relationship, if you got under the chuppah with somebody, you're meant to be with them. And it's best to work on it with them.
No matter what the circumstances are.
Adultery or abuse or things like that, I would, that's different. No one is saying sacrifice that stuff. But the regular, within normal range. And I feel like everybody thinks that their normal range is more than somebody else's normal range. Anything else?
Can you touch on that concept of where when you work on yourself, your spouse
Yeah.
levels up as well to be a better soulmate
Okay,
for you?
yes. So if you attract what's on your level, right? So if you're kindergarten level, your energy field, your consciousness, you're going to attract souls, friends, opportunities on kindergarten level. As you work on yourself, you get to first grade, middle school, college, and beyond, whatever level you're at, that's what you're attracting.
Mm-hmm.
So as you work on yourself, you're leveling up. Remember, every time you work on yourself, it's like a whole new destiny. The people might be the same, but they're the higher version in your story.
It says in Kabbalah that every soul actually has 7 potential soulmates.
Yes.
Yeah, and depending on what level you reach, like Sarah said, you'll attract. So that's why I guess the whole thing is fill yourself and work on yourself, and then you'll attract that level.
But but that person can become like your level 7 soulmate.
Yes.
With the work that you
With the
put-
work that you put in.
Okay.
Yes. So, yes.
So, okay, got it.
It's a hard concept because with that, I'm thinking about what you said about, let's say you're with your level 1 that's here, and now you've worked up and you're on level this, and your spouse you feel like may not be on that level. When you work on yourself, you're drawing down the higher level soul in your spouse as well. Remember, when you shift, everybody around you shifts. So when I level up, right, what happens is my kids are leveling up in my movie, in my reality. I know it's really hard to understand. It's kind of like the metrics. It's like Avatar, right? You're in your own virtual reality. So as you level up, those around you are going to be leveling up as well. It's going to be the sweeter version of everything.
So do you think there's a difference between how you approach the relationship when you're dating and when you're married?
Yes.
Like when you're dating, you can't be like, okay, this person is level 1 and I'm level 6, but I'm gonna just like keep going,
Correct.
like hoping that they'll meet you there. You know, like going for their potential. I think it's different when you're dating, and then when you're married and committed
Yes.
and already been under the hook.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
the amount of patience that you should have is different.
Yes.
But even when you're dating, can you even attract someone on level 1 when you're already at level 6?
I feel like you'll naturally attract people on your level. You don't have to think about it. It's just the energy field of who's going to come in your life.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you can be on a certain level though, and then there's just this unhealed part of you that keeps attracting a certain type. Like it could be just a small
The
part
bad
of you
boy
that's
or whatever.
unhealed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though you have leveled up, but it's like this part of you that's unhealed that could happen.
Are you guys like, no, now that we're talking about this, there was like 2 situations today where like this whole Kabbalah came up in my conversations with my child and my husband, like just like talking about pausing and growing your spiritual bank. I don't know if you remember, we talked about that, and I reminded him this morning, or like on the way to here, my husband has a certain tikkun, he has a very strong tikkun about something, and like it came up again, and he had like literally no response to it. I'm like, do you realize like what you've accomplished? Like, he's like, yeah, there's nothing I can do. Like, just something that used to like rile him up is like so neutral for him.
That's
so,
awesome.
I don't know. We talk a lot about it in our house and with the kids and my husband, even though they're not taking the class, they're like along for the ride in a way. So it's been really beautiful to see it
I love
in my
that.
house as well.
I love that. Thank you for sharing.
They're doing better than me, but they get the A+. But yeah.
I remember when my kids, my daughter